What's up, boss fam? This is your boy Dun Beezy, and I would like to welcome everybody to this episode, Learning Like a Boss podcast. Let's just call it that. Give me a second. I'm gonna adjust my lights. Okay. I want this out and I want this in. There it is. Awesome. Today we're going to be reading from the book, The Evolution of Roller Skating by Amira Palmer. Amira is like the compiler, but it's made up of different stories from people in the skate world, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Before we get into it, I just want to let everybody know, if you didn't know, I just finished my first roller skating course, how to roller skate on your toes like a boss, how to tune manual like a boss. If you want to get into that course and enroll, you can head down to the description of this video after it's posted, or you can head over to my Instagram, dbzytv.com, and click the link in my bio and go straight there. Well, a little bit of housekeeping for the course and for the series, because I want people to check in on this one. This is not just, like just a one and done thing, because I'm going to be reading the entire book. And something that I need from the boss fam, I need you to find Amira Palmer on Facebook or Skaters Connect. Send them an email and ask when the ebook is coming out. There are 4 to 5 installments of this, but they're only hard copy. You have to get the actual book. I live on the other side of the world, and I really want to use this as study material. I really want to give everybody an opportunity to learn it. And you know what I mean? Like I have an international audience. I have an international audience who checks in to learn about roller skating history. I want the opportunity to serve that audience better. And the people in that audience will also have the opportunity to lock in and check in too. And I just want to put as much pressure on them as possible. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to press anybody out. Like people come out and they do their work and they show their work and stuff. And I believe that people should be respected. Like what people will watch a Netflix show over a weekend and then call it trash. It's like, so hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of hours of editing, all of this stuff, and you're going to call it trash. But I do want that ebook. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, if you have the book, read it, because I'm going to be reading different sections of it. My streaming software glitched. I actually had the screenshots, but I'm going to have to read directly from the book today. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is, this is going to work as like a college level course. Because in the past, I actually wanted to be a professor. That's what I really went to the school for. Hey, Tsunami, how you doing? And I didn't go to school to be a professor, but it was one of the ideas that I was throwing around in college. And then I looked at everything. And one thing that professors have to do is you have to get your PhD and you have to write. That's like the biggest thing that comes with being a professor. It's about your writing. It's about your research, and it's about your studying. And I'm going to do this dissertation on roller skating history, whether I'm at the school or not. I'm going to teach like I'm here to teach, and I'm here to give something to the community, whether I'm at that school or not. And so I want to really bring that to it. There's going to be different levels of the discussion. The first level is going to be the facts level. And for the facts level, I'm going to be creating different videos. And like my roller skating history playlist video, I'm going to be connecting the facts that we get from the skaters to my roller skating history videos and my roller skating history reactions and my roller skating history breakdowns. That's the first level. And then while we're reading, I'm going to be very, very detailed, and I'm going to break a lot of things down because, like I was an English major in college. I studied the Greek literature. I studied the classics. I studied the Shakespeare. I read a lot of Shakespeare. I read enough Shakespeare in high school that I never needed to read any Shakespeare again, because people don't cover the amount of Shakespeare that I read. And that wasn't it. I read the African American Post. I read the Paul Laurence Dunbar. I read the Langston Hughes. I read the Maya Angelou's. I read the Frederick Douglasses. And so one thing about that is just understanding the text, being able to critically connect with the facts in the text. And that's the first level. And then the second level is going to be the overarching theme. And that's what I want to do. So our overarching theme for today's lesson is It's bigger than TikTok and Instagram. Roller skating is bigger than TikTok and Instagram. And a lot of modern skaters have absolutely no respect for the craft. And I know that sounds like an extreme statement, but I'm going to let y'all into my soul a little bit. I don't care. Like, I feel like there's so many different words and there's so many different things in our society that have gotten a charged meaning. Like, for example, if I say something is a straw man, because of all of the political commentary in the usage of the word straw man, this becomes a political phrase. So when people hear it, oh my God, he said, I made a straw man. I don't really know what that is. I don't really know what that is. These words have meaning and these words have definitions outside of their connotations that they've gotten in society. My apologies for the big words. I hate when people use big words because I'm like, bro, like half the time you're just trying to be flippant. Nobody thinks you're freaking smart. I'm sorry. But when I say people have no respect, when you have respect for something, you observe the small things. You have respect for its difficulty. You approach it like you respect it. For example, people say respect the police. You don't walk up to the police crazy, talking crazy. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, cats? If a police come and stop you and ask for something, you're going to treat it a certain way. Nobody ever say police work is easy. All you got to do is run around and do this and that, because people have respect for it. Regardless of how you feel about them or some of the things that some of them do, people have respect for it. Let's talk about our taxes for a second. I know this sounds stupid, but people have respect for their taxes. They scared of the IRS. You're not just going to randomly do your taxes. Thank you for that like. Thanks for the likes checking in. People have respect for the process and people have respect for the difficulty of the process, but people do not have respect for roller skating. And it's evident in the way that people have consumed roller skating over the last 2 years, the way that even people who will call themselves quote unquote PC, quote unquote down with the culture, quote unquote woke, engage with roller skating. Because the first thing is the fact that roller skating had a pseudo revival, and I'm quoting Enzyme. He's another one of the people from the book. He's another famous skater. The pseudo revival, the fact that there is a pseudo revival shows that there is no respect for roller skating, because people have been roller skating fervently for the last 100 years. So it takes a couple white women in California on a boardwalk to get it to blow. How can the quote unquote media face of roller skating be people who started skating 1 to 3 years ago, when there's people who've been skating for the last 30 or 40 years that you've never heard about? There is a societal disregard and disrespect of the craft. Let's look at the back of the book. Let's go to the back of the book for a second. You still roller skate? This is an age-old question that seasoned skaters hear each time they mention this passionate pastime. The thing is, people don't even believe people roller skate anymore. People are not keeping up with the craft. It shows a lack of respect for the craft. Whether you watch football or not, you probably know who won the Super Bowl last year. You got some idea of it. Basketball, people have respect for it. People don't think like, oh man, I'm about to go out and just play basketball. No. Like, it's different. And the way that people have engaged with roller skating shows that disconnection. And one more thing before I get out of here: beginner for beginner culture. You wouldn't take a beginner for beginner fight class because fighting is important and you don't want to get beat up. You wouldn't do a beginner for beginner tax class because you don't want to get audited. But beginner for beginner roller skating classes are more popular than seasoned roller skating classes. And I know what you're like, oh, he's complaining again. Oh, he's complaining again. What's the point? Beezy, get to the point. The fact that people would take beginner for beginner classes, and the fact that people would talk about them and hold them in such high regard, and the fact that many of these beginners who are teaching classes are teaching the classes because they believe that the material does not exist and people have not spoken about it, shows that there is an absolute disregard and disrespect for the art. It's not about, it's not a heart statement, it's a head statement. Nobody that has respect for something would take a beginner tutorial to learn it. I have respect for jujitsu. I'm not going to take a beginner jujitsu class. Beginner white belts wouldn't even teach you jujitsu because they understand the gravity of the art. If you go into jujitsu, like I was making jokes about different names and stuff. Somebody actually spoke to me about it. You can't walk into jujitsu with calling I'm apply to a OMG or something. You can't walk into jujitsu with call an arm bar something else and really have an entire community or have people jump behind you because people can come up and check you. But that same thing doesn't exist in roller skating. And the thing that I feel like this all stems from people thinking that roller skating has no history. And that's the way that roller skating is getting sold. It's getting sold as if it has no history. Even if you come into the popular lexicon, people talk about roller skating as if the history has died. And the reason why I want to read D Breeze's story today, and the thing that I want to point out is skating is bigger than TikTok and Instagram. And his story is going to show us all of those things. His story is going to show us how deep it really is, because a lot of people do skating. And it's like when you hear about it, you know, sometimes people will talk about the blacks, the African Americans, and then the African Americans. Oh, and you know how the blacks skate, but it demonstrates a complete lack of understanding. It's a hobby for so many people. It's something to be picked up and put down. It's in the culture. It's in the culture. What is culture? Culture is the way that people change their lives and change their habits and change their bodies in order to survive. That is the culture. Roller skating is real African American culture. Roller skating is real African American culture, because rap music ain't real African American culture. Not since it hit the mainstream and they started paying people to talk about how they shoot people. They'll give you $1 million to tell kids to do drugs and have sex out of marriage and YOLO it up, but they ain't gonna give you $100,000 to get a degree. What did you say? It's off. There are the parts of the culture that get perpetuated, and then there are the parts of the culture that people live and that saves people's lives. And that's what roller skating really, really is. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. And that's why I say roller skating is deeper than TikTok. And I want to break down a couple things that are going to demonstrate this. I'm going to come to his story and I want to break some things down. I'm going to start off with the first paragraph of it. I'm not going to read every single section. I have 4 paragraphs that I want to read. But before I read, I want you to keep 4 questions in mind. We're going to keep 4 questions in mind while we read. And this is where the study portion is going to come in. What does IR stand for? What does IR stand for? What school or group is D Breeze a part of? This is an advanced question for my serious listeners. Actually, you got to read the book to answer this one. What are the 3 JB music tempos? Hey, man, I don't know what to do, bro. Give it a couple seconds and it might come back. But if it's delayed right now, then it's going to come out. This book here, man, you got to go back to the beginning and catch it all. I'm reading The Evolution of Skating by Amira Palmer. The evolution, and I have all the information down below. Just those 2 questions. We're gonna start off with those two questions. Anyway, let's get into reading. I am fortunate that skating is generational in my family. Both my mother and father skated. My sister also skated. My nieces and nephews skate as well. My father had trophies lined up against the wall from his participation in skating contests and was a competitive skater. My mother was a smooth, jazzy skater. Skating is something I was born with. I wish others could understand that having a competitive nature is a good thing. It propels us to be better. The people I competed with helped me to become as good as I was. They constantly pushed me to be better so that I could receive the smiles and applause in the ring. And I want to bring a couple things up from this passage. The first thing that he says, skating is generational in my family. He's like 40 years old. He's like 40, 45 years old. That means his father was skating in the 20s. Easily. 20s, 30s. Easily. Maybe. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be far-fetched. That's how far back the history goes. And skating is generational in my family. If you look at people like B. Young, he's a roller skating legend that was taught by Sweetness. If you look at people like Killer B, they were raised to skate. B. Young's mother worked at the rink. His entire family got jobs at the rink, and that's how he started. There is a connection between families in the rink. There's a connection between lives in the roller skating rink, the same way that people have football families. So even the fact that roller skating is generational in his family disproves the idea that roller skating is having a revival. It's clearly been alive and well in his family this entire time. And that's simple. He's 45 years old. Like, I'm not sure how old. He might be 50 years old. And it's going back into his timeline. And I know he taught his kids how to skate. And that's just the first thing. The presence of roller skating in the community is undeniable. And another thing that I want to point out as a disconnection between modern roller skating and the established roller skating culture, he says, I wish others could understand that having a competitive nature is a good thing. Not skating to win is a popular slogan these days. I don't skate to win. People are taking the competition out of skating. But they're taking out the competition as like a PC liberal maneuver to take out the failure. Because if you come down to the bottom, they constantly push me to be better so that I could receive the smiles and applause in the ring. There's nothing to win. Like Leo White, he just won. I think he just won a showcase at IR10. They gave him a medal. What you get is approval from the group. It's not about me being better than you. It's about pushing each other to be the best that we can. Oh, thanks. Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna come out there. I gotta come to Texas. My homegirl roller skater, she said she's talking about the people down in Texas. Oh man, I ain't gonna lie. I might have to move to Texas. I'm thinking about moving to Texas after my roller skating tour. Honestly, don't tell nobody. Like, I might have to move to Texas. But anyway, let me get back to it. And that's something that's disconnected. And then it comes back to the actual culture and the different things from the culture that have existed and have been positive things that have been misinterpreted and taken it to another level. Someone winning does not mean someone else losing. They just weren't as good. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody wins. And something that people don't talk about are the different roller skating competitions in the style skating community. They're more underground. And a lot of times at these competitions, they'll do them as skate jams. This is an economic opportunity for everyone involved. It's not just about the contest. It's about also Black people, Black men and women going to black businesses and spending their money. And a lot of people take their point as like a segregationist point. I'm gonna go there today. A lot of people take, oh man, support black businesses. Oh my God, I can't believe, why can't they support all the businesses? Because of the dire economic situation that's been created in the community from a lack of opportunities to support those businesses. Having a strong ethno state and economy is an important step to fixing the ills of any community. So it is significant when people come together for the positivity to organize, no matter how small, no matter if it's just a skate event, no matter, it does not matter. And that's where it really, really comes down to. And I'm going to talk about these events a little bit more in detail. Let's read the next paragraph. We're going to talk a little bit about the Nutcracker. If you've ever seen United Skates, they speak about the move, the Nutcracker. That's when you jump in the air and you do a split because you're supposed to be cracking your nuts. The funny thing about old black people is they're very, very straightforward. There's no jokes in between that. It goes A to B. Like, we're not, if you're small, if you're like a really big guy and you go to do something and they're giving out nicknames, they're going to call you tiny. They're going to do something silly. Like, it's going to be very, very straightforward. And Nutcracker is one of those things. It's going to be very straightforward. That's the whole joke. But let me read this passage. He said, the Nutcracker, a signature move that I was known for, made a lot of people think I studied this move and perfected it. But that's not how it happened. People from my old neighborhood at school knew I used to dance. I liked breakdancing, Michael Jackson, James Brown, MC Hammer, and the likes. Through dancing, I was able to do the splits. While dancing, someone will always challenge or battle me. At one dance event, someone challenged me and I wanted to win. I decided to drop to a split and come up immediately. I did just that. With the adrenaline pumping in my veins, I knew I had nailed it. It was like I won the championship. I brought the move to skating. I had seen someone in a Michael Jackson video do this move. When my guys challenged me, I thought, what the heck? I'm going to try this move. I had never attempted this move on skates in the past, but like clockwork, I dropped it. I got one more passage. Then on another date, a DJ mentioned how they used to jump 5 feet in the air and land in the splits. So I pictured it in my mind and did that too. That is how people do their Nutcrackers to this day. If you see Pooh Elliott, he still got it. If you go down to Chicago, they're still doing their splits like that. They are still jumping in the air and landing in splits. And I want to break another part about down. He said, the Nutcracker, a signature move that I was known for. If he is young and they know him for doing the Nutcrackers, that means it was out already. It was out. People were talking about it. This is another example of history. This is another example of culture being passed down, the moves and the techniques. And this is when I come back to the point I said earlier, people have no respect for roller skating because people will tell you, people have told me, I put up a poll in Reddit. Yeah, dancers really do picking that stuff up. I put up a poll in Reddit and I asked the subreddit, hey, yo, is rhythm necessary? I know rhythm is 100% necessary, but it was about 25%, 88 people said yes, and like 147 people said no. And several people got upset in the comments. I don't skate to be all rigid and disciplined. Rhythm's cool, but pedantic speeches about rhythm, woompty woompty woomp. These are clear signs of some hateration going on. Maybe that's not the best word, but there's definitely some pushback there. But people still want to do moves from the culture. People still want to jam skate. You cannot remove the rhythm from it. To think that you could remove the rhythm from it shows you have no respect for it. When I was speaking about the toe manual, ain't no tricks to the toe manual. Just step on your toes and do a funky move with your feet. Haterade, you funny. Paula, ooh, She said I had to study this in school, haterade. That shows a lack of respect. But if you come back and you look at D Breeze's story, the first thing that we have is the idea of a move. The second thing that we have is he's gotten known for this move, meaning that they've done this over time. And the third thing that we have, a DJ tells him that people used to do this another way. This is the transmission of information through culture. You will have a terrible time skating if you don't have rhythm. It's actually like crazy. Like, it's a lot harder to even stand there and do it. Like, I remember when I was stepping, I used to like to step more, but when I started strolling, it was easier to stroll because of the music. When you're stepping, you have to create the beat yourself. That's a whole other thing. Let me screenshot this. Can you DM me roller skater Texas girl? Because we got to talk about Texas. I ain't lying. I'm gonna read one more passage. Actually, I'm gonna read one more passage, and I'm gonna read two sections. And this is we're gonna be talking about IR. One thing I love and always have loved about skating is that you can do it alone and you can do it everywhere. You can also excel and be a star in your own right. My whole JB Elite skate team were skaters who showed a higher level of skating. Okay, next line.